Yeah! Today we're going to talk about tactical pens. There's a lot of people out there who like tactical stuff, mainly men. I think this is a really boy toy type of thing. Men are big children, let's face it, fellas, and we like this kind of stuff. We like playing soldier, we like to do that when we were young, and we still like to do so. Even if we're not in the armed forces, we like to carry something and tell our friends that we have a tactical pen. So today I'm going to talk about 4 tactical pens, and 3 of those are ballpoints. That's right, they're ballpoints. But I think a good ballpoint definitely has its place in a tactical arsenal. Let's face it, they're very practical, right? You carry them around, they always work, they don't have ink flow issues, etc. One thing I'd like to say is that I'm not going to do a writing sample today. The Shre tactical pen is a fountain pen that I have reviewed before. I have done it. Writing sample there. The other pens are ballpoints. Trust me, they all write, but they're just fine black lines. There's no line variation, etc. So, you know, I thought that would just be wasting your time. Let's start with the Shre tactical pen. This is the Shre tactical fountain pen. It has some good things going for it. First of all, it's a nice hefty pen. What we got here is a, well, almost 6 inches. It's really just it's a good 150 millimeters, almost 6 inches. It's big, and there's a couple of things about this pen I really like. First of all, it looks badass. It's black, got a lot of nice features. So you have a glass breaker at the end, but I got the strong suspicion that it's just a bit of aluminum, not hardened steel. For fun, I once tried to bang this into a metal plate, and there's actually a small dent here, and the metal plate had nothing. So, I mean, I'm not sure whether you could really bang through a car window with this, but that's the idea. You have these really cool looking grooves that I like. I mean, you know, do they serve a purpose? Yeah, they make the pen a little bit lighter. They give you a good grip. Are they really going to help in a tactical situation? Yeah. The cap screws off, quite nice. I've made one modification to the pen, because if you're talking about tactical gear, all you guys know it, you have to modify your stuff, right? That's what all the EDC people do. I'm not trying to make fun of EDC guys, by the way. I carry some stuff myself, so don't worry about that. But the modification I made is this black nib. It comes with a standard silver or chrome colored nib, and that looked wrong on an all black pen. So the people of Anderson Pens were kind enough to order a Monteverde black nib for me. And number 6 nib fits perfectly well, broad, rides very smoothly, and it just fits. So it's a very good modification. The section I love, gives a very nice, comfortable grip. You see that nice little thing span out there. Your fingers really fit in there. And as I said, this is not a small pen. It's big and it's bulky, and it doesn't come with a converter, but you can put one in. This is one of the Chinese converters that I've shown you a couple of times. You can buy 10 on eBay for $4.99. It's a pretty good deal, I would say. And of course, you can only put black ink in there. Putting pink ink in this would be an insult to all things tactical. Finally, what is quite nice is that you can post the pen by screwing the cap on there. Now the question is, why would you want to do this? Because this is a lot of pen. It turns really big. My calipers go to 6 inches, and this is, I would say, almost an inch over. Maybe it is an inch over 6 inches. So that's kind of weird. Although, if you're really in a tactical situation, you really want to use this for fighting, to defend yourself. Obviously, you would never start a fight. I suppose this could make for an interesting poking tool, so to speak. One thing I don't really like about the pen is that sometimes when I unscrew this, of course now it doesn't work, but it has happened in the past that I just unscrewed the whole section along with the pen, or with the cap. So instead of opening the pen, you end up like this, and you have to screw it back in place. Now I found that if you over tighten the section just a bit, like this, then that doesn't happen, and everything is cool. Finally, you've got a nice clip, and I just like to show that it's a very tactical clip. Shre did a nice job there. It's tactical because it has those two little screws. What is that? Torque screws, which it just looks cool. It's a looks thing. Also, if you're really going to use this for martial arts purposes, one of the things you martial artists would appreciate is that the cap is completely flat. So you can really hold the pen well and put your thumb on there for very good grip, and start hitting the well-known pressure points, etc. There you go. Now, a final thing about this pen is that it comes with a conversion kit, which I'm grabbing here, a rollerball refill, and a special section for the rollerball. You screw this back in place, and then you have a different section. So I'm going to try and hold up both. This is not the same section as with the fountain pen. As you can see, it's completely different, and it's even bigger. So if you're holding this in the rollerball version, you really have a lot of pen in your hands. It's comfortable to use. A black rollerball refill, I found that very comfortable to use. It's a very smooth writing tip that's on there, and it works. It works very well. Okay, now the other three pens, tactical pens I have here, are by B.R.E, the firearm brand. The first one, they have a bunch. The first one is their number 1. I like that one. It's actually the one I like least of their pens, but I do think it has a lot going for it. It looks like this. You can get all of these in this sort of gunmetal gray as well as in black. And this is a nice pen, has some good stuff going for it. First of all, you have this weird crown. This is a DNA catcher or collector. And what you should do with this is hold the pen, and if you are attacked, I'm not making this up, this is really how it works. You can jam this into someone, into their skin, and if you turn this around, you will collect their DNA, and I suppose you could then go to the police and say, look, this is from my assailant, or something. I think it's a little bit odd, but it works. And actually, this end is really sharp. You could actually, I've accidentally grabbed that a few times, you can really graze yourself there. Of course, now it is contaminated with my DNA. Well, anyway, you catch my drift. It's sharp, so be a little careful. I like the way they've made this look. You've got those nice little holes drilled in there. You've got these ribs, give a good grip, and then so you go from vertical ribs to horizontal ribs. And then you have the section, simple grip section, looks pointy. Well, you will definitely be able to poke with that. And then you have this big clip, some holes cut out to save weight, works well, and it does actually clip in into pockets quite well. I like to put one not as highly as this, but just so that you can see, I always have one of these pens in my shirt, lower, but I always have one. As you can see, they slip in easily, slide out easily, so I like them. One thing I will say about this as to writing is they will write, but to fully twist this, it's quite a couple of twists. The operation is smooth though, and once it's in there, you just have a ballpoint, easy to use. You can hold it quite low, you can hold it up a bit higher, and it writes pretty well. It comes with a black refill installed. I mean, not an extra refill, but a black ink in there. I think it's quite cool. The number 1. The next pen by B.R.E is I believe it's their number 4. And by the way, did I measure this? If not, then yeah, it's just over 6 inches. So it's and that is with the section screwed all the way so that it covers the tip. That's the number 1. Then you got the number 4. Now the number 4 is quite interesting. The body, I like the body a bit better, and it has 2 interesting features. But to fully show you those features, now you know what? Let's just do it here. Couple of fascinating things. First of all, the section of this one is completely different from the number 1, and to be honest, I like it a bit better. So the one below here, this is number 1. This is their number 4. I think this looks just a little bit cooler with that fluted design. Quite nice. Same thing, 1, 2, yeah, about 2.5, 3 twists to fully extend this and get that tip in a writing position. That is a downside because it really takes some time, but you know, a small thing, I suppose. Then we have this barrel, which just looks badass again. You've got these ribs, and then you have that knurled design, which looks very much like some machining tool. Quite cool, I would say. And it gets a little thinner there, and that actually has the Uzi logo on there. Then you have this thing, and this thing is actually a glass breaker, and that is hardened steel, and that is very hard steel. I'm not talking about this thing, I'll come back to that. I'm talking about that very tip right there. Of course, you could also use that in a tactical self-defense situation where you poke someone with that. I guess you could also use it the other way around. That would be a nice way to poke them too. Now the fascinating thing of this pen is that very odd clip. The clip has some weird stuff going for it, and it's a little loose. It rotates a bit, but that is the idea. You see that? This is a handcuff key. And what you can do is just rotate it around, and then you should be able to open up handcuffs with this. Now I've read quite a couple of reviews from people who say that they don't fit the standard Smith & Wesson handcuffs that are used in the US, but who knows. I have not really had the cojones to go up to a police officer and say, "I'm sorry, officer, I've got a tactical pen. Could I please try and open your handcuffs? I'd really like to see if it works." Because I think they would say, "Okay, you're going back to the mental institution right now," and that's pretty much it. Now on the other end, so here you get the key end, and here you get another end. Isn't there that little pokey hole in handcuffs? I don't see a whole lot of handcuffs. I'm a good boy in all possible contexts. Well, anyway, but isn't there a little pokey hole in the handcuff that sort of overrides the lock? I guess it's for that, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that's just rubbish. So that's this pen. Now, interesting thing about this pen is that it has this huge tube in there. You see that in the section? Refill comes out. That's a lot of tubing, more than I expected, and there are no threads. So I find that quite fascinating. And yet it screws in there. Very fascinating. Must be something on the inside. Anyway, that's their number 4. Now finally, by the way, this is available in black too. So this is the gunmetal. You can also get it in black. Finally, we have this one. This is the Uzi number 6. And the number 6, by the way, the number 1, sorry about going back and forth here, but the number 1 also has that Uzi logo. Should you wonder. Okay, number 6, final one, has the Uzi logo right there, and you see it very well here, white on black. As you can see, it's very similar to that number 4. In fact, it's pretty much the same pen, same body, so I'm not going to cover all of that. You can just see it in black, and you got the same section, the same barrel, but one thing is different. That's the clip. This doesn't have that handcuff key. This is just the same clip you saw on the number 1. You see that? Again, that big clip with the holes punched out to save weight. And this one has that glass breaker again, hardened steel, all very nice. You can definitely use that. And again, if you want to use this in a tactical situation, I think you can use this a bit easier. Because with the number 4, that handcuff thing would get in the way. And if you would jam this into someone's skin, I think that's going to be a mess. Now, this one, there's a little thing you can unscrew, and look, it's another handcuff key. So with the number 6, it's actually in the pen. It doesn't stick out. Okay, now if you ask me, of these 4, which is my favorite? Well, clearly you know I like fountain pens, so that's not really a fair comparison. But of these 3 Uzi pens, which is my favorite? I would pick the number 6. I really like that knurled design. The handcuff key is just fun. This is, I would almost say, a novelty item you can show your colleagues around parties. Look, I've got a handcuff key. But I like the industrial look of this one because people don't immediately see this is a handcuff key. But because this clip is a bit loose, I'm just not entirely sure whether I find it extremely practical. There is another hex screw there. You can tighten it a bit, but even then, I think this one is great for practical use. Again, this one is another just over 6 inches. I always have one of these clipped in my shirt, as I said. Very practical pens, a lot of fun to use, and conversation starters. Also, if you have fairly large hands, these pens will fit you. They're big, they're bulky, they're heavy, and let's face it, guys, we're boys. We just like this kind of stuff. Don't deny it because you know it's true. Ladies, I'm terribly sorry if you've had the patience to sit through this. Men are just weird. And with that, let me end this review. I hope you'll never encounter a tactical situation where you have to use this. If you are law enforcement or something, I deeply respect what you do. That goes for police officers, soldiers, etc. You people take great risks to keep us safe. I think that's amazing. The pens are good. If you've got something like here, I got a Maxpedition pouch. If you've got something like this, these pens really tend to be very compatible and just fit in. They're great to use. Cool stuff, guys. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Stay tactical.